A mass stabbing attack causes chaos on a train to London.
London is the greatest city in the world. I'm so proud of our city.
The capital is in shock tonight as crime, which many feel has been spiralling out of control, reached a terrifying new peak. Counter-terrorism police in the UK have been called in after a mass stabbing attack on a passenger train. It began suddenly, 11 stabbed, 2 fighting for life. The horrific act instantly focused attention on the V100, the most dangerous individuals the police target. The shock didn't stop at the station. It travelled straight to Buckingham Palace.
Good.
Inside that cramped carriage, there was only screaming and terror. A steel tube with no exit, no escape. A cornered witness begging cried out, "Please, I have children," another stammered. He was silent. He just stabbed them one by one. The horrifying clarity of the attack immediately made the nation ask, are we even safe on a train? Yet amidst the horror, a heroic train staff member and brave passengers confronted the blade. Their sacrifice a stark condemnation of the system that failed to protect them. As London bleeds, the country has erupted. Over 150,000 Britons have taken to the streets from Trafalgar Square to Westminster, demanding one thing with one unified, furious voice: Khan's resignation.
I promise to strain every sinew to help build a better and brighter future for London.
For years, the mayor promised safety, not just being safe, but feeling safe, he proclaimed. A healthier city. Yet as the capital bled,
It is official. The UK is in recession, and
the City Hall's message remained tragically defiant. Only recently, Sadiq Khan declared, "The evidence is clear. Our approach to tackling crime works. It's driving down violence right across the capital." This statement now rings hollow, a bitter betrayal. Instead of progress, London has been served a brutal reality check. While the mayor defends his record, official figures from the Office for National Statistics, ONS, paint a chilling picture. The 14,626 knife offences recorded in 2023 mark a devastating 51% rise since the start of his mayoralty. This isn't just a protest, it is a reckoning. One King watches, deeply troubled by leaders who have forgotten their first duty to protect their people. This is a crisis of accountability, and London has turned against its own mayor. The next morning, London woke up to a mirror image of itself. Sirens, barricades and disbelief. Outside City Hall, thousands gathered with candles, flags and rage. This wasn't hatred. It was a crisis of confidence. Meanwhile, the city had reached its breaking point, not just because of violence, but because of disbelief. What was tearing London apart wasn't crime, it was confidence. Since Khan took office, more than 1.2 million crimes have been recorded each year across the capital, more than any other city in Western Europe. Behind those horrifying numbers are 20,000 knife attacks, 18,000 sexual assaults and 150,000 phone thefts each year. But here's the most damning statistic. Fewer than 2 in every 100 cases result in convictions. The conviction rate is a shameful 1.8%. That means 98.2% of perpetrators walk free. This is not justice, it is a green light for crime. This crisis goes beyond simple statistics. The question echoing across the country is terrifyingly simple. Is Britain safe? This brutal attack confirms a terrifying new normal on our streets. Yet the most chilling part of the story is this. It could have been stopped. Just one day before the train attack, the same suspect was caught on CCTV storming into a London barbershop. Waving a knife, he terrified customers and slashed a 14-year-old boy before vanishing into the streets. Police were called, but no alert reached the transport network. No warning reached the stations. 24 hours later, that same man boarded a London-bound train, and 11 people were bleeding before the city even knew his name. London didn't fall overnight. It fell one ignored warning at a time. The perpetrator has a name, Anthony Williams, 32. But the man is an enigma, a sudden burst of violent chaos. He is the physical manifestation of the system's failure. Authorities are quick to dismiss terrorism, but the public asks, was this mental distress or the symptom of the brutal, casual violence that has become endemic on our streets? Furthermore, they demand, did he ever seek help or land on any official radar? If he was unknown, where did the community and public health screening systems fail? The Metropolitan Police has spent over £17 billion under Khan's watch. But the resources were useless. Response times are nearly 50% slower than when he began. Inside the force, morale is broken. The system's own workers are screaming that they too have been betrayed. As the chairman of the Police Federation stated, we are tied down by bureaucracy, chronically under-resourced, and morale has hit rock bottom. A staggering 40% of junior officers admit they will quit within the next year. This isn't misfortune, it's failure in command. A city drowning in crime, led by a man drowning in excuse. London no longer trusts its mayor or the system that protects him. The silence is over. The demand is clear. 70% of residents now say the mayor should resign. Khan must go. It began as mourning and became a movement. By nightfall, London was burning with light, not fire, but flares, cameras and anger. Crowds surged from Trafalgar Square to Whitehall, chanting one name with one demand. Khan must go! This was London defending itself since the mayor won't. Inside the chaos, moments of profound heroism emerged. A reported war veteran grabbed his suitcase and used it as a crude shield. An off-duty nurse, ignoring the danger, used a simple scarf to apply pressure to a major arterial wound. The crisis quickly proved this was not a localised London problem. The fury was echoed in Manchester, Birmingham and Liverpool. The failures in London highlighted the vulnerabilities everywhere else. The terrifying sight of the city ablaze with outrage was only intensified by the true political irony. The very man under siege had recently been awarded a knighthood, a political reward, for failure amidst a city that is bleeding. The streets had spoken and the movement spread. An officer was filmed removing his helmet and joining the crowd. That was the moment when even the police stopped pretending this was normal. Online petitions demanding Khan's resignation have now crossed a truly historic threshold, 7 million signatures. As Parliament met in emergency session, a deeper crisis unfolded. Reports circulated that the palace had requested direct briefings from the Home Secretary, bypassing the mayor's office entirely. The symbolism was unmistakable. The king was losing patience. Outside, protesters projected a message onto the walls of Parliament. Britain deserves better. Inside, the Prime Minister called for calm, but calm was gone. Britain was awake now and it would not go back to sleep. Clashes reignited, but this time the crowd didn't retreat. Veterans stood at the front singing, "God Save the King." At dawn, after 2 days of unrest, City Hall remained barricaded. Khan appeared briefly before cameras, pale and defiant. He understood the pain, he said, I admit, but violence solves nothing. His words were met with silence. For many, it was too late. The country had made its verdict. The true climax of this crisis was the chilling realisation. The social contract is void. The fundamental agreement that the state will protect its citizens in public spaces had been irrevocably shredded on the LNER tracks. The question shifted from Khan must go to the existential, who protects us now? Meanwhile, the true authority was revealed. The king hadn't slept, reading every report that crossed from Westminster to Buckingham. The Crown was watching its capital bleed. Across the river, a royal motorcade left Buckingham Palace without statement. No one knew where it was headed, but the symbolism was clear. The Crown had entered the conversation. As the sun rose over Westminster, the silence was broken by a shift. For the first time in years, the people felt seen, not by the mayor, but by the king. The terrifying awakening was the understanding that there was no saviour. The question is no longer who governs London, but who still deserves the right to govern Britain. When a nation's trust is broken, it doesn't just protest, it rises. The story isn't over. It's only beginning. The question now is whether Britain's leaders remember their duty. Because when a nation's trust is broken, it doesn't just protest, it rises. The verdict is in. The silence is over. Follow our ongoing investigation as we track the fallout in London and expose the systemic failures in command across the nation. Subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next critical chapter in the fight for public safety.